Welcome back. It is news review time, and shortly I'll be introducing my guest to you. But this segment is always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and they're offering you, as always, free prostate screening. And by the way, next month, November, is Prostate Awareness Month. Are you aware of that? Why don't you get yourself screened? If you're a woman, they're offering you free fertility screening as well. Just make your way to any of their branches. Fortunately, wherever you are, almost in all parts of the country, you can locate them. If you're here in Accra, they're at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. If you are in Kumasi, Kronum Abwehia, behind the Angel Educational Complex, that's where you can find them. There's Takrady and Naji Estate, there's Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama and Zema. I suggest you call them, and these are the numbers on which you can reach them. 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. And that ushers us right into the news review. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante is my guest. We all know him. He's a political scientist. He also is director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Good morning, Doc. You may have to unmute, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Hello, Doc. All right, so we'll try to reconnect with Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. In the interim, I have this morning the Daily Graphic newspaper, the Finder, the Daily Guide, the Ghanaian Publisher. Of course, there's also the Ghanaian Times. Today we're spoiled for choice. We have quite a number of newspapers, and then I see others as well. We'll try to get into as many as we can. When Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante reconnects with me, there are two quick issues I want to run by him before we get into the newspaper review. I would have brought up the Justice Atuguba matter, but maybe I'll save it for later, some other day. But there is the issue of the name change of the University of Ghana. Some utterances made by Mr. President that in the past that it should be named after J.B. Dankwa. In recent times, there was an interview with the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, and among other things, including talking about my own former hall. Yes, I'm an old vandal, Commonwealth Hall. She also spoke about historical antecedents and all of that. I would be curious to find out from Dr. Asah-Asante whether at this juncture, with all the renamings that have been going on, and the threat by some that, let's make it clear, the NDC, that if they were to come to power, they would reverse the names. Some of the names, though, I mean, to be honest, some of the names. And it comes with all the changes in paperwork and on the international scene. And then there is the $140 million Trafigura incident. Do we intentionally sometimes create judgment debts for the state so some people can benefit from the back door? Do we? It's a question I'm putting out there. Especially since the year 2000 till now. We've had some very curious instances. And now, Papa Usuankoma, I believe that's his name, our High Commissioner to the UK, says it's an embarrassing situation because they are threatening on the back of the judgment debt on which we have failed to make payments. They are threatening to actually seize some of Ghana's property. To the point where even our High Commission was cited, but of course, we all know that under international law, diplomatic policy, that place has some protection on the international scene. But how did we get here? Well, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante can hear me now. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Ben. I think I can hear you louder now and clear. Yes.
So two things I just quickly wanted to run by you. It has come to the fore again. I'm sure you've seen that interview with the Vice Chancellor of University. I am an old vandal in some of these comments, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the renaming of the University of Ghana after a certain Dr. J.B. Dankwa. It has come to the fore. The president spoke about it at a point, and the Vice Chancellor is talking about going back to history, whatever she means by that. I'm not so sure. What is your take on that? And quickly as well, Trafigura, that judgment debt. I've been scratching my head asking myself, do we sometimes intentionally create judgment debts? So some individuals, faceless individuals, can go through the back door and benefit from it, because some of our judgment debts, honestly, do not make sense. You know, you are canceling this thing, and this thing will likely have repercussions. Why do we still go ahead and do them? It's got many people thinking. $140 million, Papa Usu Ankoma, our High Commissioner to the UK, has called it embarrassing because they are targeting Ghana's assets in the UK. And even the High Commission itself has come into the fray, but of course, we know it's protected by international law. What is your thinking on these two matters?
Yes, I think I will look at the issue of judgment debt. I think when you look at everything, there is always a problem with judgment debt. And Justice Appel's Commission's report is there for all of us to see as to sometimes the thinking behind people who hold public office, and then when they are engaging in this type of decisions on the behalf of the state, what goes into some of these things. It's unfortunate that we continue to have judgment debt on our hands, because one would have thought that if for nothing at all, those who make decisions on behalf of the state will make sure that whatever decision they make is nothing but is in the best interest of the state. So when at the end of the day, we have something like this on our hands that we need to cough up money to pay and settle judgment debt and all that, then it calls for worry. It is problematic, and I don't know how we are going to resolve this, because it appears to me that it is deliberate on the part of public office holders to engage in that. Because other than that, if you know that there exists this contract and these are the terms of the contract, why would you want to abrogate it and then cause yourself, a cost to pay to the other party in the contract? For me, that question remains unanswered. And that is where the state might take tough decisions on that. That those who put us into that difficult situation should not go scot-free at all. When we are able to do that and then enforce any law that relates to this rigidly, it will push people away from doing same. We need to be tough on this.
Right.
There is always the opportunity for people to go against the rules of the game. But we should also develop that habit of sanctioning them. The only thing that can help in this direction is what? The sanctions. Without sanctions, I'm afraid, we can't fight this battle.
Thank you so much for your thoughts. The University of Ghana.
Yes.
Very quickly on that so we can get into the papers.
Yes, an interesting conversation because time and again, this thing has come to the fore. I was there when the president made that statement. And we have also read the Agbodeka's work on UJ and the rest of them. So I am happy that the VC has also taken the trouble to look at it again by putting up a committee that will look at these things and all that. Remember that when a committee is set in Legon, I can trust the work that they will do. They will look at all the bits and pieces around this issue so that at the end of the day, their work, when it's delivered to the VC, it will be nothing but work that will stand the test of time. So I am comforted with the position that the VC has taken. I know that at the end of the day, when we go through, this issue will be settled once and for all.
Let me ask you this, though. If Dr. J.B. Dankwa had been from a different tradition politically, do you think this would even be an issue? I say that on the back of some of the renamings of institutions across the length and breadth of the country, very quickly, and the fact that these renamings come at a cost. It means everything else. Let's assume it is renamed. Everything else pertaining to the University of Ghana, from even memorabilia or souvenirs to stationery, and everything has to change. The naming has to change. Our naming has to change on the international level. Is it worth it?
If it has been a different political tradition that is championing this cause, the issue would have been 50-50, would have been yes or no. But that is why we have to wait. Let the committee be put together and then let them do their work. At the end of the day, whatever they churn out, we all come and look at it and then digest it very well. Yes.
The Daily Graphic this morning, Doc, Ga Manye, funeral rites begin. And picture there the late Na Dede Omedru III. Our condolences, of course, to the entire Ga community. In fact, all of us are bereaved. Records of 14.2 million patients digitized. That story on page 13. Construction of new cement factories suspended. That's according to the Trade Ministry. There's this, I think, Chinese entity, outfit in cement. And recently there's been talk about tax evasion and all of that. I always say that all these things can only happen because our systems are sloppy. Construction of new cement factories suspended. That's according to the Trades Ministry. Akosombo Dam spillage. Government will restore livelihoods. Deputy Minister assures victims. I'll be sure to read that story for you and find out what their plan is, because so far I haven't seen any clear plans. On the back page, 1,000 people to benefit from financial literacy training, and Republic Bank donates equipment to Wassa Dunkwa Government Hospital. So let's start from the start. The government has pledged its commitment to distribute relief items to persons and communities that were affected by the spillage of the Akosombo and Kpong dams to bring comfort to all. It said through its interministerial committee set up by President Akufo-Addo, the National Disaster Management Organization would work with the various government agencies to restore the livelihoods of the affected persons. Quote, after water levels have come down, collectively, all government agencies assigned to the Interministerial Committee will do their respective duties so that we restore the schools, electricity, water, and provide the necessary support to farmers and fish farmers and other people who have lost their livelihoods because of the spillage exercise. So, Doc, imagine your fish farm. Some people are complaining now that, they farm oysters in that place. Everything has been swept away. Tilapia, swept away. Farms, inundated. You can't even talk. And because of the filth in the water, mind you, there are cemeteries there. There are rubbish heaps that have now mixed with the water. So everything has been contaminated. Now there's a talk about restoration. Property worth many, many millions has been compromised. And I don't know what your take is on that, because everything has literally, financial life, educational life, economic life, come to a standstill. In the meantime, let me just make this point. Some have suggested we should do some dredging because the waters are not receding quickly enough, and we don't know for how long this will go on as the spillage also continues. Your take?
I will look at this issue from 2 or 3 perspectives, but I'll be fast so that we can go on with others. If you look at government's call to make sure that they will restore livelihoods back, it's a good thing. It's a good call. We want the government to be able to do it as soon as possible so that the people can breathe a sigh of relief. It is important, and we need to be extra fast. The more we stay on this, the more the problem get compounded, and it creates all manner of problems for us, and also it goes with cost, which we don't have all the resources to deal with. So let's hurry up, deal with it once and for all. But it brings me to the other perspective, that what is the lasting solution to this problem? I have spoken with some big, boys within the system, and they educate you. They give you ideas about the way forward, which I don't think that political office holders are not aware of. One of the problems, Ben, is the issue of our inability to build a Pualugu Dam. If you talk to them, they will tell you it should be the game changer. So that once you build a Pualugu Dam and you are able to contain some of the water from its source, it reduces the problem immensely, because apart from it being, collected by the dam, it's going to also be used to irrigate arable lands in that area for agricultural purposes. The little that will be, maintained will be maintained, and then it then flows through Akosombo Dam and all that. The problem, if you talk to people on the ground, they will tell you that the problem is also compounded by the fact that the pump dam, which is supposed to hold it, has also overflowed its banks. So it tells you that there is the need for us to double our effort to build the Pualugu Dam immediately and then save the situation. Because you and I know that yearly by yearly, the Burkina Faso people also spill their water and it passes through the same place. So once you build Pualugu, it serves two purposes. One, to collect the water from Bagri Dam and also deal with the situation in a situation where we have more water for Akosombo Dam. And it will create a lot of employment opportunity if that dam is built. So we should, put all our acts together and then, build resources to be able to start that project. I'm told that they have cut sword for that project. We need to walk the talk immediately and then do the right thing. Another thing I have also learned is that the governments over the years have lacked political will to, as it were, allow the VRE to be able to, deal with some of the issues. The issues of people who have encroached all the areas of the dam that is not, they are not supposed to be there. Government had lacked the courage to be able to deal with this issue. I mean, talk to people there, they will tell you. So we need to, be able to go by the rules of the game and ensure that the professionals will do their work and do them well. And then once we do that, we'll bring a sigh of relief. Look at the money that we are quick to pump into and then restore the hope of the people. If we channel it into the building of Pualugu Dam, do the necessary work and all that, I am not sure we'll be in this state. It's a very sorry story, and it's my prayer that we get resources and then restore the lives of the people immediately, and also move the second gear of building Pualugu Dam and other measures that we need to take them seriously. Right.
Doc, we have some 10 minutes, so let's maximize the time. In other stories, there's also records of 14.2 million patients digitized. More than 14.2 million patient records have been captured onto a national digital platform in a significant milestone towards the digitization of the country's healthcare sector, according to the story. Now, the newly introduced electronic patient record system, dubbed, quote, Lightwave Health Information Management System, has been deployed in all teaching, regional, and district hospitals across the country as of last month. There's also the story on the Gamanye funeral, the funeral rites, which have begun. And according to the Ga Traditional Council, they have announced that the burial of the paramount queen mother of the Ga state would take place on Saturday, October 28th, 2023, as planned. Then I'll leave you with these two stories. Construction of new cement factories suspended. That's according to the Trade Ministry. The construction of cement factories in the country has been suspended. The directive by the Ministry of Trade and Industry, which takes immediate effect, is a temporary measure aimed at streamlining the issuance of permits by various regulatory institutions before the construction of new cement factories could be considered. The directive was issued at the launch of a national quality policy in Accra yesterday. And this is the final one. Doc, you don't have to respond to all of them. I'm just giving snippets out to our viewers. Page 23, Pevi sweet potato farmers call for support. And Pevi, a rural community in the Akachi South municipality of the Volta region, is noted for its unmatched experience and bountiful harvests of the sweet potato crop. This, however, has not brought joy to the farmers over the years. The huge harvests are often left on the farms to rot due to the lack of a ready market for the produce. In a desperate bid to attract customers, some of the farmers heap the sweet potatoes along the road of that community to Akachi, where they also bag the produce. That is it. Sweet potato, so many uses, so many things we could do with it. We allow it to rot, and yet we don't even have proper food security. Over to you, Doc.
I'll talk about the patient's record system that has been digitized. It's a good thing. It's a good thing, and I support it. with all my heart and with all my strength, in the sense that it makes life better, and we are able to access health facilities very easy, and then you are able to work efficiently. I was a student in Switzerland, Geneva, and I happened to be at the hospital, and just my Swiss permit, I took it to the hospital, and then they pick it and put it in the system, and I was good to go. So the Ghana card, it's an important document for that type of exercise. That is why I always support the Ghana card system, because once you develop it to the highest, you'll be able to use it for a lot of things. And I am happy that government has turned its attention to this direction. They need to finish it very fast and let it work so that life becomes so easier for us to handle ourselves and then move on to ensure that we all get our health intact and support the productivity process of this country. That is the way to go.
Let's, on the international front, we'll not reflect on these, but just to get you reading, page 5 of the Daily Graphic, British court frees Nigeria from paying $11 billion in damages, and Liberia election results, where Boakai face runoff. In the Ghanaian Times newspaper, it reflects what has been said about the emergency plan for Akosombo, but Akosombo Dam spillage, schools conduct studies under trees as classrooms turn into holding places. World Bank commends Ghana for promoting simplified sewage system, develop micro-insurance products to protect poor from climate shocks. That's according to Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. I could ask him about what he has done himself as Finance Minister in that regard, sanitizing the system so these insurance products can be brought to bear. But then there is this very troubling story. Man jailed 20 years for defiling baby. He's a 31-year-old. He defiled a baby at Medina Social Welfare in Accra, and he's been sentenced to 20 years imprisonment with hard labor by the Adenta Circuit Court. Guess what? The child was only 7 months old, and she entered his room. His name is Goli, and on her return, her diaper was soaked with blood. 7-month-old baby. 7 months. Anyway, let's take a quick look at some other stories. October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Next month is Prostate Awareness Month. This one, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, stepping up the campaign against breast cancer. Have you got yourself checked yet? And if you're a man, you know, sometimes you see some, don't get it twisted. There's a very small percentage of men who also develop breast cancer. So as you grow and as you see your chest becoming breasty, so to speak, please start getting yourself checked. I know of someone whose life was saved simply because he went for a breast cancer check. So it's going to affect you too as a man. Know that. Finally, Gaza Health Ministry says 700 killed in 24 hours. And of course, the last time I checked, only 4 of the hostages taken by Hamas had been released. 2 American Israelis, sort of, and some 2 others. And the Israeli forces, the IDF, is still on the ground. Some say it is only waiting because America wants to get some hostages out before they mount a ground offensive. Any quick reflections on any of these stories, Doc?
I will touch on, that heartbreaking story of a 30-year-old man or so.
31.
Who has, 31, has, defiled a baby.
7 months old.
I don't know what to say. There's something wrong with some people in our society that we need to fix and fix now. I will expect that psychologists will come in here and then help us to deal with this, because such attitude within the society doesn't bode well for any meaningful society. And it really undermines our fortunes and all the effort that we make to build a better society for ourselves. We need the expert in here to help us out. But we must strengthen the socialization processes at home, in schools, in public places, and then we are able to do the necessary things that we are required to do. I think that is the way to go. But it is a sad story and it's a story we don't want to hear at any time, any day. Pure madness, nothing more, nothing else.
The Finder newspaper now, delegates backing Dr. Akoto, Dr. Efri Akoto, of course, tout his proposals as solutions to Ghana's problems. You can check out details on page 8 of the paper. Livelihoods will be restored, VRA assures spillage flood victims, or spillage victims. I think we could leave it as that. But two stories I want us to quickly take a look at. Customs intercepts 11,204 pieces of imitation wax prints. Doc, nowadays you say Ghana where, and a lot of it is from other places, China. I remember back then the wax prints, the Netherlands and all of that. But nowadays, I mean, a lot of what you may use thinking you are wearing or donning Ghana is actually not Ghanaian. It's probably only the tailor or seamstress that will benefit from anything. But this story on page 10, Supreme Court's disqualification of Jachi Kwesen scandalous. That's according to Justice Atuguba. I'll do that story and something from the Daily Guide, and then we can wrap. So Justice William Atuguba, a former Supreme Court judge, has described the Apex Court's ruling which disqualified Mr. James Jachi Kwesen from contesting in the 2020 parliamentary elections in the Asin North constituency as scandalous. The Supreme Court, quoting him, the Supreme Court does not stand in good light in disqualifying Jachi Kwesen despite his clear certificate of renunciation of his Canadian citizenship as from 26th November 2020, whereas the election was on December the 7th, 2020, he said. He also goes on to talk about the fact that after he had dissented, as far as this opinion was concerned, he wasn't impaneled by the former Chief Justice, Enin Yabua, for a long period, over 6 months. And maybe that was some victimization in there. At least that is what he puts out. And I'll wrap with the Daily Guide newspaper. Police deposits Namwan 2.5 million Ghana cedis at Bank of Ghana, court to determine distribution. That's the latest there on page 3. The Ghana Police Service has announced that it has deposited a total amount of 2.5 million Ghana cedis received from the Chief Executive Officer of the defunct gold dealership firm Men's Gold, Nanapia Mensa, known as Nam1, to the police exhibit account at the Bank of Ghana. Quick thoughts, quick reflections, and then we're done.
Yesterday, I was also at the forum where Justice Atuguba spoke. I was there. I listened with rapt attention. What I pick home is the pluses, the minuses relative to the work of our Supreme Court. For me, as a student of politics, it was refreshing to hear some of the stories, because you will not get any person to be able to speak on a subject like that. But I listened, and then he gives a lot of things that the court, in his view, has done, which it doesn't sit well with him, and then things that the court has also done that, to him, is apt and it's in line with the work of the court and the rest of them. What I pick home is that there is more that we need to do as a state if we really want to save our court and save our democracy.
Right.
It talks about the issue of empanelment, how we empanel judges, and then its effects on the whole judicial process. The issue of delay in cases and later rulings and the rest of them. For me, I believe that there are a lot that stakeholders should be able to, engage and then look at, and then as a way of what institutional rebuilding will be able to also support the work of the Supreme Court to be able to live and live well. He talks about the issue of also some structural problems that you have. For instance, the Judicial Council, and the fact that you have about 4 government appointees who also sit in there, and he posed the question, does it also really help the issue and the rest of them? These are things that students of democracy, of governance, must also look at and reflect, and we begin to engage stakeholders to look at them and help build a system that will stand at all times a better system for all of us. It's a human society. Problems are bound to happen. But when they do, and people like that point them out, we must get our acts together quickly and then help build it and then move on. Where they have done so well and all that, let's strengthen those frontiers and let it work. Where they're falling short, let's rectify that situation. And at the end of the day, I think governance will be there for all of us, and it will be worth a salt.
Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, I'm so grateful for your time. I also spot catching us on social media, Professor Kweku Azah. Greetings to you, sir. It's so good to have you join the conversation, watching, especially as we're talking about the judicial system in Ghana. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante is a political scientist and director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Thank you so much for joining us. You actually make my Wednesdays. You make my Wednesdays. Thank you so much, sir.
You also do. And I'm grateful for the opportunity and the service to my state. Thank you.
This is when I get to throw questions to my own former lecturer. But right before we get into sports, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic offering you the opportunity of free screening for your prostate if you're a man or your fertility if you're a woman. Just find them here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Kronom Abuehia behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrade Anaji State Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa and Esiama Nzima. Call them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Sports up next on the AM Show.